G'day, in today's video I want to talk to you about these nifty little headphones I have on. They're from Rode. They are the NTH-50s and they're brand new this week, and I thought I'd get a pair because I'm interested in trying to reduce the size of my field headphones when monitoring dialogue out and about. Now, these are touted as kind of producer studio headphones and content creator, but I thought, hey, what the heck, I'll give it a crack and see if they're any good for what I'm trying to do. Now, my first thoughts and impressions are that I love that Rode have thought about replacement parts for this. So these little cables here are USB-C up on the left and right, and that can be replaced. And I absolutely love that the headphone cable can be moved to the right or the left side to plug in to whatever device you're listening from. So that can be super handy, because if you're trying to plug into something that's on the left side of the computer desk or the right side, your camera or whatever, it's really, really handy to be able to just change that. And it's a locking mechanism, so it's nice and sturdy once you're in. Now, that's a really cool innovation from Rode, and I think that shows you how much they've thought about this product. Now, my main go-to field monitors and home monitoring has been the Sony MDR-7506. Now, I love these headphones. I've used them for a few years now. So they're very similar. What the difference is I find with these ones is that I prefer, for my big noggin, these over-ear headphones as opposed to these ones which sit on your ear, if that makes sense. So I find the Rode ones, in the testing I've done this week, actually press on my ear in more annoying spots than the Sony do, in terms of it kind of goes around my ear almost and sits more comfortably for long periods of time. Now, weight wise, I haven't weighed them, but just in my hand, the Sony does feel lighter than the Rode. So that could be one of the kind of pressing feelings on your head as well over time, is the weight pressing down. Now, one of the cool things that I do like about the Rode is you can have an absolutely enormous head and these things are going to fit your melon. So that's the highest, and obviously you can see there's a fair bit of clearance above my head there, and if that was to sit down, then they're totally going past my ears. So, and if you've got a tiny little melon, there's plenty of space there for them to fit. So you find your sweet little spot and off you go. They've obviously wanted this to be able to be used by a wide range of user. So again, great idea and great concept from Rode. This is very subjective and it's obviously going to change person to person, but the sound quality between these two, and they're pretty much retail at the same price. Now, I have 4 of these. I've got 4 for my podcast kit, and then I use one of those pairs on as my monitoring for mixing audio with the interviews and things I do. So I'm using these all the time. Now, my side-by-side comparison this week, where I was playing dialogue and literally switching between the two to get a really good indication of the difference, is this is really bass heavy and these are really neutral. So if you prefer a really bass heavy sound, then these are going to be your go-to headphones at this price point. If you're wanting a really neutral sound and kind of less bass coming through, and I do feel there's a bit more clarity in especially dialogue or any vocal tracks in music, I definitely find the Sony is, I don't know, the better choice in a sense, with less kind of bass when you're in that dialogue space. Now, I'm not a music producer or creating music, so that might be something that people look for. But one of the things I did notice between the Sony and the Rode in dialogue is that these, because of that heavy bass they do kind of give dialogue a bit of muddiness almost. And I mean, it's probably not fair just to switch between the two. And like my ears have been so used to listening to the Sony for so long, but that's just something to consider, given that they are at the exact same price point. So I did take these in the field today and use them straight out of camera, listening to dialogue, and they were great. They were fine. I didn't find it annoying. I did not enjoy the pressing on my ear after, half an hour of dialogue in the field. So that's possibly just more of my head and my ears, and these pressing down on spots that my ears don't like. But just something to compare to, and just something to think about. If you already have the Sony, then probably stick with that. If you're just in the market for a new pair of headphones, then the Rode might be a good choice for you, particularly maybe if you've got a kind of a smaller head and or smaller ears than me. So the pressing on the side after a long period of time mightn't be as annoying as I found it. The build quality seems really awesome. The only other downside that will probably make me not take these in the field is the fact that you can't collapse these very far. So in my camera bag, I can kind of get these to about that small versus that. So you can kind of see it's a bit of a smaller footprint in your camera bag. That keeps its shape a bit more because the ears don't fold in. So small little difference there, but in terms of in-field use in camera bags and travel, this probably isn't the greater option. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Rode. All my podcast gear is Rode. I use the Rode Wireless Pro, and I've got the Rode NTH-50, I've got the Rode NTH-2, NTH-4. So I'm a big Rode fan. It just happens to be for me that in terms of this little fella, I'm going to stick with the Sony. So well done on the innovation, Rode. Being able to swap the cable to the left and right side is awesome. Well done, and really love that you've thought about the ability to repair and replace an item to help with, the cost of repair, but also being able to not waste an entire product if a cable breaks or weathers. So that's really great, for the planet. So I hope you have a great week. Hope this helps someone, and otherwise we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.